Hey everyone, today we bring to you Hugo, aka Sloppy, the founder of Sloppy Studios. Hey Sloppy, how are you doing, man?
Hey, Ridwick. I'm doing great. Thanks so much. Thanks for the time and super happy to be here.
Fantastic, and thank you to you too for joining us and coming on this interview and giving us a deep insight into you as a person and into your project. So let's just get right into it. So before the questions, could you just give us a brief description of your project and Sloppy Studios?
As Ridwick said, my name is Hugo, mostly known in the space as Sloppy Pencil or just Sloppy. I've been an animator for over 12 years now. I've worked in the TV animation industry for over 10, and I got started in the NFT space at around 2021. And thanks to that, I managed to open my own animation studio, mostly focused on Web3. Here we are. It's called Sloppy Studios, and we're here to share some of the work we've done this past few years.
Fantastic. That's amazing. And I'm glad to hear that from being an animator, you could shift into the NFT space and also start your own business, start your own animation studio. That's amazing to hear. Let's get more details about you being an animator for 12 years. That's definitely very interesting. Can you tell me a little bit more about yourself and your life before Web3 and how your journey in the space began? Was there any triggering moment that caused you to enter the NFT space or the Web3 space in general?
Well, yeah, of course. I started my studies in 2012. Actually, I used to live in Vancouver, Canada. I took like a 1 year diploma in an animation school called Vancouver Film School. And after that, I was lucky enough to land my first job at Nickelodeon, at a Nickelodeon show when I was around like 19 years old, 20 years old. That's where I learned digital animation because 1 year of studies was really not enough to know everything. I learned by doing it on different jobs. I was lucky enough to start on Nickelodeon. I worked there for a couple of years. Then I landed my job at Rick and Morty, which I started on before it became huge. I was really lucky when it was still kind of an animation that was underground. Nobody knew about that. I started working on the show. I started as a junior animator and eventually made my way to supervising animator after a few years working there. I worked there like 4 5 years in total, 4 seasons, 3 seasons and a half, and some ads for the Rick and Morty show. I was bouncing back and forth between Mexico and Canada. I've always done digital art. Like even before I knew what NFTs were, all the art that I did was digital. There's a page called Newgrounds, which was like the home of very old Flash animations and very old digital art. I was a big creator for that website. I still upload to this day. It's an old website now, but I really like the content that was being uploaded to Newgrounds. And I hardly did any art like physically. Like I like to draw on pencil and paper, but to me, I just feel way more comfortable doing digital art. And then some of my friends, like OGs from the space here in Mexico, one called Mojarra, there's Neurocolor, there's David Nunez, like a lot of traditional crypto artists. They were like, "Do you want to try this? This is starting to pop off, and you might have a nice space here." Because of my digital art background, I was like, let's try this. I was already big into cryptocurrencies. I was already invested in Ethereum thanks to my friends. And then it just happened. I started doing commissions back in 2021. I did my first commission for an animated Bored Ape, an animated Bored Ape number 1930 for Crusher, a good friend of mine, my first collector actually in the space. And he posted that Bored Ape on Twitter and it blew up. I got other commissions from Bored Ape holders. So I started my NFT journey doing freelance commissions, doing 2D animation frame by frame for holders of other projects. Then I started getting approached by, I made a really long animation for Bulls on the Block. They hired me for that. But then as an independent artist, I was not really known in the space. I was just doing freelance animation. I was not doing stuff of my own. I actually started uploading to Rarible on Ethereum, but as an unknown artist, I was paying like $400 for the mint, and nobody knew me, so it was not selling. So I started looking into L2s and stumbled upon, like I'm a big Reddit user. I know all the GameStop history of what happened, and I saw that GameStop opened its own NFT marketplace. I felt like home right there, It kind of felt like a very curated, every piece submitted was reviewed. It was sometimes annoying how curated it was because, it was heavily censored. It was heavily, like you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that. They were, big implications with copyright material. So you couldn't really do, fan art, stuff like that. But while I was still working on Rick and Morty, I started doing a lot of my personal 2D animations that were just loops. I started uploading them on GameStop, and we became one of the top 5 creators in that marketplace. It started doing really well. That's where I actually met my team from like GameStop marketplace. We started, like with a very small team, and here we are now.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much for that history. I'm sure all that animation work you did at Nickelodeon and Rick and Morty definitely did help you with NFTs and digital art. It seems like a match made in heaven. You're an expert at digital art, and that's what NFTs are all about. That's great to hear. So
we started doing animation without any sounds, just the visuals of it. Thanks to my team and the GameStop marketplace, I connected with Slight, who is like a big rap artist in the States. We started doing his animated music videos as NFTs. That's how we kind of evolved from like simple GIFs in animation to like full-fledged animated music videos that we sold on the GameStop marketplace. That laid the foundation of our biggest project in Ethereum called Fishbowlers, because it is like a complete audiovisual NFT, like it has animation, it has the rights to the music, it has a lot of stuff that just evolved from that trajectory.
fantastic. That's great. So you mentioned Fishbowlers. Let's get into some more project-specific questions. When did you decide to, think that, okay, I have all this experience now, it's time to create an NFT, my own NFT project? And then what, inspired your art choice for that?
After building our small collection on GameStop, which was all unique animations, sadly, the GameStop marketplace shut down because of regulations in the United States. They kind of got cold feet and decided to like close everything down. Sadly, we were one of the biggest creators in that space, but luckily we had built an amazing community around that. We were scared of moving to another L2 marketplace, and the same thing happening. I've had experiences in the past with markets shutting down one day to another, and like you lose your art and you lose the connection of your of your holders. And we wanted to go to the mainnet, to Ethereum, just because we know it's solid. We decided to launch Fishbowlers on Ethereum, right? So yeah, higher gas fees, but more security, and it's just safer to have our stuff in OpenSea. Fishbowlers actually just we took like 7 months with all the money that we've made from the GameStop marketplace. We reinvested it in growing our team, working on the collection for around 7 months. Frame by frame animation takes quite a long time to make. You have to rough it out, then do a rough clean pass, clean it up, color it, and do the compositing. It has a lot of steps that a lot of people might not actually see. One of the cool things about building Fishbowlers was that we just didn't build in the dark. I always like to share the process of how I create things. Whenever we managed to lock in a partner that was going to appear in Fishbowler, whether it was Kaiju Kings, Llamaverse, Hasbula, or Memeland, I would go into their Discord and animate the Fishbowler live with input from the community. What do you want to have in this custom Fishbowler or this legendary 1-1? We're always building in the open, very vocal about how we build things, where all the funds from GameStop were going, paying our artists, paying the musician, paying for all the licenses of the softwares that we were using. So yeah, we've been always like super transparent and always connecting with our community for input. We love to do like custom trades from like our biggest supporters, or just do like custom art for them. We pride ourselves in making extremely custom art for our biggest supporters, and even just like every holder. For example, all the holders of Fishbowlers that have 5 or more, they're entitled to their custom character. They tell me how they want their character, and we actually design it for them live on Twitch with their live feedback, and then we create stuff with that character as well. So we, whether it's animations or have them as secondary characters in the animated pilot that we are doing, we always pride ourselves in how custom we give our rewards to the people that support us, right? It took like 7 months to launch Fishbowlers. We were actually partnered to launch with OpenSea. We went back and forth with them for months. We were in the front page, like everything was very hyped, everything was really nice. And then the weekend of the launch, OpenSea's contract didn't work and the page didn't work. And it was during the weekend. So we were dying, right? So we were super scared. It was a very stressful moment. We were messaging OpenSea like crazy. And they just didn't answer because it was the weekend. They didn't have any support. So that killed a lot of hype. Whenever there's an error in the contract or something like that, which was completely out of our control, we even hired a big programming company just to check the contract to see if it was on our side. And it just wasn't. I have the emails with OpenSea just saying like, hey, sorry, our page didn't work this weekend. If you want to launch somewhere else, we understand. We will share your collection if you decide to do so. We were understandably mad at them, and we decided to launch somewhere else. We actually used a free platform called HeyMint. It didn't do as well as we thought it was going to because of all these issues. We've been building hype with a lot of communities, doing art live, doing a lot of stuff live. And one mistake just kills the hype, right? So we still had to launch it. It had been 7 months. I actually quit Rick and Morty just to pursue going full time with the Fishbowlers collection. We wanted to do an animated show. We wanted to do custom rewards for the holders, custom art, custom animation, and fund an animation studio. So we needed to launch, right? So we launched. The launch was decent. It was expected after all that issue with OpenSea. And then when we were like, hey, can you put us on the front page now? They're like, nope. They just ghosted us. I have all the emails there. I can show the proof, but they eventually came around 1 year later and put us on the front page. It really did nothing. It was kind of a turbulent start, but we did not let that deter us from building. It's been over a year since we launched Fishbowlers. We're still showing there every day. We're still doing art. We're still doing the pilot animation that I can show. I can share some of that on the screen whenever you think it's appropriate. And I can show like some of the custom characters that we've done for our holders. In general, it's been a crazy experience, crazy learning experience as well. Just like being fully dived into the space, into the community, and just been working with this for an entire year and a half now. It's just been really rewarding. But as you know, like crypto doesn't sleep, NFTs doesn't sleep. So sometimes it's a like 24/7 kind of thing.
Well, that's amazing, and thank you so much for that detailed background. I'm very sorry to hear that due to those technical issues with OpenSea that did mess up your momentum, but I'm glad to hear you guys persisted. You're here now. The audience is extremely excited. You being an animator from Rick and Morty, Nickelodeon. So, let's see some of your skills, some of your art. Feel free to share your screen and, run us through that.
Perfect. I'll probably talk through this because I'm pretty sure you can't hear it. Hopefully it's playing well. If not, let me know. This is part of the pilot that we've been animating for the past year and a half. Usually animated pilots range from like $100,000 to $200,000 per episode. Rick and Morty was way more than that. Futurama was like $1 million per episode. So animation is not cheap and quite slow. This has definitely been quite a task. We did get some nice funding for our treasury due to our mint. Currently, we're sitting at around 2% minted, which is still going, every month. Like our biggest supporters, they're still like, helping us out. We're still connecting with communities. We're doing a lot of giveaways. We have a lot of merch. We give discounts to our holders and even like some of the free merch from some special mints, right? So yeah, basically this is the pilot. I just wanted to give that backstory of OpenSeas because actually our project is called Broken Seas. We decided to call it that thanks to all the issues that it caused us, all the stress. For example, this guy is our biggest holder. His name is Ward Doctor. He even did the voices for his own character in the show, right? We've done a lot of custom art for holders. Let me show something that's not moving. These are all the custom characters we've done. They give us the description of what they want, and we just basically like create a template, a custom character template, whether they're like the villains that are wanted or just like normal characters in the show. Yeah, and it's just great, right? Because you kind of get to know your holders a lot more. You kind of get to know, like who they are and what they're into, and it just becomes a huge, like, big family that we have over there in the Discord. Um, we have over 60 characters right now with
Wow.
our with our crewmates. So this is an example of, like, here, Atomic is one of our biggest collectors as well, biggest supporters, and just a nice friend. He's gonna even come to my wedding, right? So this guy, Atomic, he was not feeling well. Some shit happened in his life, so I just wanted to make him happy, make an animation with his character, and we do all of this live, right? So we do it live on Twitch because we pride ourselves in sharing all the knowledge that we can for free. I have a big, like, YouTube where I do tutorials. Sadly, they're in Spanish because I'm from Mexico, but I did do a ton of tutorials on how to do this kind of stuff yourself, how to get into Web3 as well, how to basically tell a story through animation, right? So this is currently everything we've done. It's the second half of the pilot is still under production. It is time consuming and it is quite expensive. So we do need more eyes, and we do need, like, to move our project more from time to time. But yeah, in general, this is how it's looking. It's a labor of love. This is what the NFTs look like, and sadly, you can't hear them because they all have music right
Wow.
now. So it's one of the biggest things that I like to do is work with independent musicians as well, just make their animated music videos and stuff. But yeah, this is basically our project right now. These are some of the main characters from the show. She's called Gloria. I don't know if I should get into a lot of the details here, but we've done, like, entire, like, series of more adult animation using this character. I won't get into the details, but yeah, this is basically, like, the main crew, right? The main crew of the show. It's just fun, man. It's just been a really great experience, just including the holders into our project. They've supported this idea. They saw this vision, and they want to be a part of it as well.
That's fantastic. I mean, I'm sure everyone can tell just from what you're showing us that this is extremely high quality, and you've for sure surpassed a lot of the expectations that we were thinking, even though we knew you're an animator from Rick and Morty. But this, yeah, I can definitely see that professionalism shining through, and also there are some similarities to the Rick and Morty animation, which is
Of course,
amazing. Obviously, the Rick and Morty animation that's like award winning, and it's fantastic. So, and the fact that you integrate holders and you listen to your community, create custom art for them, that in itself is huge utility. And I'm sure your community really, really loves that, and they adore you for helping them out, cheering them up, making them laugh with your animations. So that's fantastic, man. That's so amazing. So
thank you.
just one small follow-up question. So obviously the custom art that you were showing, which you make, like which your holders give you input and then you make that custom art, is that also minted as an NFT for them?
Actually, we're still looking for a place for it.
Mhm.
Um, we just recently released a smaller collection called the Swarm on Base, based on an animated music video that we did for this rap artist. Um, and we were looking at options on Base. I was actually gonna do it on Sora. We recently uploaded this second animated music video. It was not a music video. It was kind of like an intro to our video game, right? And it got like 21,000 mints on Sora, which
Wow.
mints are like $2, $3. So that did really well. But then Sora decided to change how they did, the reward system. And our initial idea was here. Let me just show a little bit of cool alpha as well, if you don't
Definitely.
mind,
Yeah, yeah, of
because
course.
because we wanted to I did these custom characters, and as you guys saw, we did it kind of in like pages, like full body pages. Let me just share my screen. Sorry about that. Let me just
Yeah,
share
no
my
worries.
screen one more time. Um,
Yeah, I mean, feel free to share your screen whenever you want. I can see how much effort you've put into the art, so you should be given an opportunity to show it off.
yeah,
So yeah.
thank you, thank you. So yeah, I'm a very visual guy. I
Mhm.
always like to have like my visual aids and
Yeah.
whatnot. But yeah, like we wanted to design the characters so you got it like full page, full size, right? So you got this guy, but you got the description that the holder gave us, and then you got like this full body shot of the guy. But we also wanted to like make a PFP version of all of these characters. One
Mhm.
of my mentors, one of the people that showed me how to draw, actually is an artist from Marvel,
Wow.
and like he's been working in Marvel for a long, long time, and he's going through, like he's changing, studios right now. So he's like, hey, do you know, like, if I could do something for you? And I was like, hell yeah! Like right now, you can see like this guy here in the examples of the PFPs that we are doing for characters. Here you can see also like the Atomic Axe, the guy that we've done the animation of, like the jumping Viking. Basically, this guy. So I asked him to like take. It's kind of a different style, of course, but he's a Marvel artist. I'm a guy that worked on Rick and Morty. You can actually tell, like
Yeah.
who draws what, right? But we wanted to do it, so we uploaded two things on chain, right? We wanted to do the character page that anybody could collect, right? So if people in the studio wanted to have like the entire deck of characters, which
Mhm.
we have, like, yeah, we're still working on them. We do them, like almost every week. We do a couple live on Twitch. Um, so if they wanted to collect like all of these characters, they could do it, right? They could try to get this entire collection, and then we would mint the 1-1 PFP done by this Marvel artist, just to have like just the holder, right? Just the creator of the character to hold the rights of their character, to hold their own, PFP, but have the character sheet on chain as well. So we're still finding a nice place to have this, because we wanted it to be so that if anybody minted it, the holder of the original character would get some revenue as well. And Sora was the perfect place to do that, but they just recently changed the way rewards work. So I don't think that's going to work with us anymore, sadly. But yeah, that's some of the cool stuff that we're going to do for our holders. This is still just a work in progress. We have over 60 characters now, so my good Marvel friend's going to take quite some time to finish them all. But yeah, I thought it was a kind of a unique thing, to have like the character design that people can collect, and the holder would get some revenue out of that, and have the main unique 1-1 PFP. We don't want to rush this. This is just something that we're still building. We're still working on it, and we want to find the right place for it, right? So we don't want to rush the decision, and yeah, that's just not even our main focus, right? That's just like some
Mhm.
nice utility that we're giving our holders. We do, as I said before, a lot of custom art, a lot of the custom work we do.
Yeah.
But yeah, just wanted to share that with you.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and usually towards the end of the interview is when I ask, if there's any exclusive alpha that founders can drop, but you already did it.
Nice.
So, that's where, I mean, I'm very glad you did it here in this interview. So, for all the listeners who are here early, and they can, you know, not financial advice, but they can do whatever they want with that, and definitely, to use that inside information, that exclusive information. So that's amazing. And yeah, a Marvel animator paired with a Rick and Morty animator. I mean, yeah, you guys can definitely do very, very amazing things. So that's amazing. So yeah, let's move on to the next question. So I remember you've already mentioned that, you use the funds that you generated through the GameStop marketplace and the NFTs you were making there to fund this Sloppy Studios and your Fishbowlers. But I also wanted to ask, so were there any other ways you used to fund your minting? And now how are you managing the cost post mint? And is the current model that you're using to generate revenue, do you think that's a sustainable model for you?
Yeah, of course. Like since we've minted, we've actually become a full-fledged animation studio, right? So we do a lot of this fishbowl work that you just saw on screen uh, during our live streams, during like some time during the day. But at the same time, we do take work. We do take external work, working with communities. Like Saved Souls. We've
Mhm.
actually done all the animations for their game, the game that they have. They have a couple of gamified events with their NFT community, and I love them. So I did, we as a studio did the animation for like the combat animation and the animations in the map as well. So we've done a lot of animation, for example, for nouns. So nouns is a huge community on Ethereum. I was actually gifted a nouns
Wow.
from them due to all the animation like that we've done for the space. They were looking for they did kind of a like a competition giveaway. They were giving out a noun to like great artists in the space that might be a little bit unrecognized, and I managed to take the win and join the
Wow.
nouns community. And thanks to that, like we've been growing a lot. I've done a lot of commissions for them. I've designed their websites. I've designed like their NFT tickets, tokens. Right now there's a big event coming up in LA. I designed a lot of the art for the website. They have like an NFT ticket, which we animated as a studio as well. And even like they have a animation film festival every year, which they pay you to make animation, and we won that as well. So we got
Wow.
into their Nouns Film Festival. We did a short animation that we're gonna present in LA actually in like 20 days. So it's gonna be great. But aside from that, we do take clients from Web2, right? So recently I did like an ad for Asus for the PCs. And the fun thing is that we actually included the holders' characters into the animation for Asus, right? Because I actually did ask the holders, like, hey, do I have your permission, like, to use this, right? Because even though I did the characters, it's to me, it's like theirs as well, right? So we want to make that official by minting it off on chain with the sheets that I showed you. But yeah, we actually the model has worked really well for us because like we keep giving love to our community every single day. Like we're on their Discord every single day. I'm sharing with them. I'm creating with them. We're doing these lives on Twitch. We play games. Like all the time we're just like connecting, but at the same time, like we're earning revenue. We're maintaining our studio alive by also working with 3D communities and Web2 communities just to keep us growing. And the amount that we've earned like in this couple of years for an animation studio, we basically from zero to quite a lot in our treasury, right? So yeah, it has been hard work. We work every single day. My fiance works with me every single day. Our animators in Mexico, in Argentina, in Uruguay, in Europe, they're working with us every single day. It's a work from home studio. Really, we do not have like the expenses of like having an office. And I think design companies and animation companies actually have some of the best return in any kind of company that you can create, right? Because you do not have that many expenses. The expenses come to like electricity, licenses, which can be expensive. But like your expenses are not the hard part about this kind of businesses. The hard part is just finding capable people to this level that are super skilled in what they do, right? And before I actually got started into the NFT space, I was the biggest art streamer in Latin America. So I
Wow.
garnered like a huge community of artists that I taught myself, right? I taught a lot of artists in the Latin American community for 2D animation. And I'm proud to say that our best workers that are in Sloppy Studios right now, they have been trained by me during the years, and I taught them. So they're very loyal people, very happy with what they um, with what we're building here. And like they didn't know much about crypto, so I onboarded them and like I taught them how to like work with that. Like, and the cool thing is that you can send just money to anywhere in the planet, gets there instantly, right? So for example, I was lucky enough to work on the Doodles animated video for Lil Wayne this past couple of months. But they paid me in like a Web2 structure, and it took like 30 days for the money to arrive. And I'm like, no, like I cannot quit crypto. Like I just become so accustomed to just like work for a client and then just get instantly paid with crypto. So it's, yeah, sorry for the tangent there, but yeah, like our costs are are lower than what we are getting every single month, because we are constantly doing work for clients. We are constantly like still pushing our mint. Actually, our income does not come from our mints anymore, right? We get 1 mint per week, 2 mints per week, which is fantastic, and I really appreciate that. But really, our like our main funding comes from doing an animation for clients, right? Like client work, whether it's Web2, Web3. We've managed to get some nice consistent clients in the Web2 and Web3 space. Recently, like I as you guys can hear, I really like rap, I really like trap and hip hop, and we joined forces with like a rap bar that's owned by some of my friends, and we're doing like their animated flyers for every event weekly. So now we have a weekly, like nice weekly income that we can take into account to like continue growing our animation studio. And yeah, it's just been really fun. It's just been really taxing. It's exhausting, but this is my passion, right? Like I've always wanted to do animation. I've always wanted to do my own stuff, because I can sit here and talk about how the animation industry is kind of in shambles right now. I'm pretty sure everybody has seen the news. Like it's a record-breaking year for Disney, but they laid off 800 artists, right? It's like right now the animation industry in the Web2 space is completely bonkers. Like I've found a safe haven in Web3 actually, and I've onboarded a bunch of animators and a bunch of artists here because there's a huge thriving economy in Web3. And some people might shy away from it because they see the word NFT and they just kind of like they associate it with something bad. But like after you remove that stigma, there is a huge economy in there. There's a huge like creative minds at work, a lot of programmers that need art, a lot of artists that need to like understand how all of this works. So it just creates a really amazing economy that we were lucky enough to like join in from not the start, but like in the early times, right? So yeah, I hope that answers your question, and it's just been great. It's just been a really cool experience so far.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm super glad to hear that, because especially during the current market sentiment, many people say that NFTs are going through a bear market, so that's why a lot of projects are suffering. I'm really, really glad to hear that, you were able to pivot and, continue with your Web2 work, and also obviously, do commissions for Web3 projects like you mentioned, to be able to sustain your animation studio, because I can imagine it is pretty expensive, especially when you're doing it at such scale with such professionalism. So that's amazing. So Hugo, let's get into the next question. So yeah, let's, obviously as a founder, as a creator, you bring a different perspective to us. From the DJs and from the participants, you have your own perspective as a builder. So let's get your opinions on the NFT space. So the first question, so with your own perspective, what do you think are the biggest challenges in the current NFT space, particularly for creators and the current NFT space, considering the market sentiment and all the things that are going on currently?
Of course. Well, as you said yourself, it feels like we're going through a bear market in the NFT space. The vibes are down, and we cannot have that. Like going into Twitter and it's just not the same. When it's a bull market and when it's a bear market, it's just so much better when everyone is hyped, when everything is fun. But yeah, you can't always be like that, right? You always gotta show up every single day, even though the sentiment is low. One of the things that I noticed, and um, it's really sad when thriving communities and like founders that actually show up every single day, they're kind of sometimes the punching bags, because I don't know why sometimes I think the accountability of NFTs falls more into the shoulders of people that show up than the people that don't, right? So some communities that rug or disappear, everybody's like, okay, I got rug, that's it, and they just get out of the Discord and that's it, right? And sometimes they get even less flack or even less, heat from for founders that show up every single day. People are like, why is this not going up? Why is my floor this? Why is this that? And sometimes it's like, yo, I'm actually here, right? Like I'm showing up, I'm putting the work, I'm just, like every single day, right? And sometimes I think it gets more accountability for people that actually show up than the people that don't, right? I think that is a huge thing that affects founders. Personally, I'm super lucky, and like the community that we've built is super patient, is super loving. They, of course, we always try to focus, like on getting a project up there and like focusing on the floor price to rise and making our holders, like give them something. We like to do a lot of custom art, but we love for them to, like get some ETH for all the support. But yeah, like I think one of the biggest challenges is that, and like the attention spans, right? Attention spans in this space are fleeting, right? They're one day is one thing, and then another day is another thing, and that is kind of like the nemesis of quality, in my opinion, right? You gotta take time to build something nice, especially in animation, right? It just takes so long. It just takes so much out of a person just to do a second of animation, right? In the animation industry, we sometimes, they used to call it footage, but now sometimes you even get paid per second of animation, right? Our rates are in seconds, right? Like 1 second of animation is $200, and that is low, right? That is on the lower side. Like 1 second of animation, usually it's like 250, 300, 400, depends on the animation studio and the style, right? But like the attention span can sometimes hurt you, right? It's just, oh, now Blast came out and everybody's into Blast, and then 10 days after that everybody hates Blast, and then they go here and they go there, and then now it's ordinals, and now it's this and that, and that is great, right? I love that it's always evolving, but as a creator it is sometimes scary, right? Like, okay, I found a nice place that I want to put my collection, and like I like the community there. It takes me 3 months to build it, and now that marketplace is gone, or now everybody's gone to like the next big thing, right? So it's I would like it if people were just, like if they saw something and they would just have like some patience with the founders and the projects that they're building. I totally understand why, this, as I said, it's a space that never sleeps. It's part of the culture. And I think, like that is also its biggest strength, right? Just this culture. Nobody is here to lose money, right? Like everybody just wants to make money and have fun and disconnect from traditional markets and disconnect from traditional media. And I am all for that as well. But it creates a constant cycle, of managing expectations. You gotta deliver on those promises. You gotta navigate the pressure, all the time to make sure like your floor stays up. So yeah, it is. I think as a creator, that is definitely the biggest challenge, right? Just like staying on top of the current thing while giving love to your project, while like once your project is out in a chain, you cannot just like change it. I mean, you can, but it clearly it has ramifications. But yeah, at the same time, I think it's what makes this space so vibrant and exciting, and it's always fun, and always something new. Yeah, you need to be kind of prepared for that, right? Like you cannot change it, I cannot stop it, so I need to change. I need to accommodate my needs or like my times, for this, right? You gotta keep pushing forward. Even if it doesn't go exactly as planned, I think you need to adapt, right? If the adapt, like that skill, like just being able to adapt is just the strongest thing that you can have in this space.
100%. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. Myself, I've also been in this space for around 3 years now, and you've hit the nail. You've hit the hammer exactly on the nail, and you're perfectly correct that the attention spans are tiny. People are expecting so much, and there's obviously the financial aspect to it where people lose money, make money. So it is definitely very challenging for creators, and especially I'd say for people like you who, create animations, which you mentioned, take so much time and require so much skill, where, people should appreciate that more. And but I'm like towards the end, I'm really glad to hear that you talked about your mindset where you just have to accept the reality of it, and then you have to accordingly adapt and adjust to the space, because the space won't change for everyone. You're in this space and you have to adapt to it. So that's
Of course.
fantastic. And I'm sure that mindset is what's helped you stay sane during these years that you've been in this space.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
You just have to surround yourself with positive people as well, right?
yeah,
There's everything in this space. There's from like people that are always just chasing flips. Nothing wrong with that. There's always the negative people like, why is this not up? Why is this not up? But there's always like the positive people. Like, we're here to build, we're here to create, we're here to make friends and community. And I'm chronically online. Like, I'm online all the time. I have more friends online than in real life. So yeah, you just gotta go with the good stuff. This space has everything, right? So you gotta look at the bright side of things as well.
definitely, definitely. All right. So, yeah, so we obviously talked about the challenges. Now let's move on to something, some maybe positives or something that's exciting. So, what trends do you think in the NFT space? And like you mentioned, it's always evolving, it's very dynamic. So,
Hmm.
what trends do you think that are upcoming in the NFT space, or that we're, maybe currently experiencing excite you the most, And how do you see the future of NFTs evolving?
Of course. Well, if I was not hopeful for the future of NFTs, like, we wouldn't be here. Like, when I saw this, I was like, oh my god, this is, to me, it's the future, right? Like, uh, as we said before, it just like kind of fit like a glove. Like, doing digital art, connecting with people. I like to put this example. Like, in traditional animation media, it is super hard to connect with a team, right? If you wanted to talk to the Rick and Morty team, impossible unless you like know someone that knows someone and you want to talk to them about the process. It is completely impossible. I think one of the coolest things is that NFTs are based in communities, right? Are based on like putting yourself out there and putting your knowledge out there, and just be open for feedback and open to criticism and open to connection in general, right? I think the fact that you keep like holders involved in whatever that you are doing, I think that is the most important part, because media is so disconnected from their audiences now. I think this is a great time to connect like product and the consumer, like in just like one place, right? To have communication. I think that communication is super important. I think great, like active communities that do that, to me, are nouns and saved souls, for example. I think it just in the future, I think it's just going to become more seamless, right now you actively have to go online and actively have to download this wallet and understand what a network is and understand what a transaction. uh, it is a huge learning curve, right? It is a huge learning curve, that I think eventually is just gonna flatten. I think it's just gonna become a more natural part. Well, sorry for the noise outside. Mexico City. uh, yeah, it just becomes a seamless part of your life in the future, to me. And I think what excites me the most is just the being able to produce something directly with your consumers and just have everything involved and have everything in like the touch of your fingers, and it being like connected to technological improvements. To me, like, art and technology are like, it's just a beautiful marriage. It's just gonna have weird kids for sure. But I see that as a very exciting opportunity in tech and art.
That's amazing. Yeah. Yeah, that's a fantastic answer. So, yeah, let's maybe go back now towards your project and ask some little project related questions. So, like you mentioned, you've obviously been here for a while now in the NFT space and also with your projects. So, also like you mentioned, sometimes the market is up, sometimes it's down. Obviously, it's very cyclical. So, throughout that time, how has your team size changed, and how has that impacted your project?
Yeah, well, of course, I started as one person, right? Like, just myself. one HP and a dream. Like I when I started doing this GameStop collection of 2D animated loops and animated music videos, I actually met my team, my like initial team of like 2 administrators, one from marketing and one from business. So it was a great combination, right? One with a marketing mind, another with a creative mind, and the other with the business kind of side, right? So it was like the triforce from Scylla. So yeah, that way we kind of connected with musicians. We connected with other artists that I've known from my Twitch past. Um, Animation, you cannot do it alone. You cannot do it alone. It's impossible, right? There's this example of this guy, Richard Williams, that worked on a film completely by himself, and it took him like 42 years, and he died before finishing it, right? So it's like it's a beautiful film. It's there on YouTube, free, but at the same time, you don't want to do that. Like you really, if you want to do something, you gotta have a team, right? So our main goal when we actually minted Fishbowlers and we got the treasury, it was how can we grow the team, right? If we are promising an animated pilot, if we are promising this custom art, this custom animation, I cannot do it on my own. Like I actually need a team, right? So from a group of 3 people over these past couple of years, we've grown to a team of 10 people that are all over the world, uh, and they're just happy to create. They're just happy to be part of something from the ground zero. And we couldn't have like done as much as we've done already without like the strength of the team, right? Uh, but as you say, like the bigger the team, the bigger the expenses. So we of course have to take like bigger workloads to keep managing our own IPs. I've always wanted to make video games, so we've recently released one. And it's not nothing Web3 related, really. It's just a rhythm game on the App Store. It's for free. Our holders get like custom skins and everything. But yeah, like we want to keep creating IPs. We want to keep creating animations. So for that, we need to take on bigger and bigger jobs and keep our team growing, right? We're 10, like right now, but sometimes when we get bigger works, like harder animations or more content, I actually have like 2 or 3 animators that I pay them by the project because they're very expensive. So it's very hard to keep them, like on a monthly basis. But they're always open to work with me because I've taught them in the past, and one of them actually did end up working for Rick and Morty, thanks to me. So yeah, it's just the team. The project is what it is because of how our team has grown, and we don't plan on stopping anytime soon.
That's fantastic. That's awesome. And I'm really glad to hear that, you know, there's obviously progress being made. So you started as an individual and then a group of three and now to 10 people. So just a follow-up question, if you could just, so you mentioned currently you're around 10 people. So if you could just break it down, like how many artists, how many, you mentioned some administrators and probably social media guys and stuff.
Yeah, so basically a couple of social media guys. Um, I think we try to do like stay current on the memes. Just try to share our the stuff that we do every week. We have like a calendar of streams and what we're gonna do on those streams. Just we post it there all the time. We just make sure people know that we are live and we are creating. We got the business guy. We got an accountant, of course. We got a programmer, a game designer from Uruguay. He's one of my best friends as well. He's the one that's programming all this stuff, all our games, and we're working on a bigger IP. We got my fiance, which is our graphic designer, and then just the rest animators. Sadly, one of our best animators, he sadly passed away a few months ago. He was super young, lung cancer. So we definitely want to, after we finish our pilot, we just want to give a nice memorial to him. And we will forever remember him in our work and just create with a lot of love. So yeah, basically we're 9. Sorry. So we were 10. Sadly, this guy, he was too young and he was such a nice guy.
Yeah.
I still keep in contact with his family almost every day, and like we're just gonna keep him in our animation forever. But yeah, we're mostly animators. We do have more people on like the business side, um, but for now it's just that. And as I said, when we need more animators, we do it. When we need 3D work, we do it, and it just kind of changes depending on the job that we get, right?
Mhm. Okay. Well, yeah. That's very sad to hear that unfortunately he passed away, and may he rest in peace, and he will definitely, like you mentioned, live on in your animations and through your projects. So that's amazing to hear. So
No, thank you so much.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So yeah, so obviously you mentioned, one of the main parts of your project, and one of your main core values is building an open, and always trying to involve your community, creating custom art, and also involving them in the animations and all that. So the question, based off of that, so obviously you have some sort of vision and a mission. So does your community's opinion and or feedback, so feedback in the sense, if you release an animation or some art, the feedback you get towards that. So does your does your community's opinion and that feedback, does it ever impact your vision and your mission?
Well, yeah, of course. As I said, we work completely directly with our holders, just to create the most curated and custom experience that you can get. Even in the animated pilot that I was showing before we actually animated and actually like created the visual work, we made some polls on the Discord on like how they wanted the story to continue, right? So they do have a choice in like the story progression. They do have a choice in like the paths we take with this, and we even involve them directly in the story as characters, and they record their own voice lines as well for the ones that want to do it. So yeah, definitely, just the feedback is kind of our main important part. Sorry if it's too loud outside.
No,
Let
no,
me
it's
lower
good.
the volume. Okay, there you go. Yeah. Basically that we just like to work directly with their ideas and our vision, and just like make it a reality, right? So it's a very fun way to keep them engaged, because it's not every day that you get to see a character that you designed like moving with your voice, right? That's actually super fun, and I don't think a lot of people have done um, kind of that in the past. So that's why I think it also has a great impact in like Web3, just being able to get some incredibly nice funding from people that are interested in your project with no middlemen, with complete connection with the creators, and like having your own custom stuff in it.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, and that's amazing. That's a huge utility in itself, like you mentioned. Very, um you feel really good if you see yourself recognized, especially in an animation with your voice and art that you design. So that I'm sure your holders really, really do enjoy that. And also, like you mentioned, the attention span of everyone in this space is very small. So you do have to keep them engaged. And I'm glad to see you're doing that in a very unique way. So yeah, I mean, now I think that should cover all the questions, and that should be the interview that should wrap it up. So before we end, obviously, Hugo, if you have any closing remarks, anything you'd like to say, or any things you'd like to cover before we end?
Well, I just want to thank you for your time and for the great questions. Really great feedback on the questions as well. I've been, a speaker for animation. Maybe it doesn't look like it in English, but I'm a more well-spoken guy in Spanish. But I've
Oh,
been around the world, just like giving conferences in animation. I've been to Colombia, I've been to Spain, I've been all around Mexico, just like trying to inspire the next generation of artists. Try to show the people that you can actually make a living as an artist, as an animator. There's as I said, there's a huge economy in the Web3 space. So I always like to put it out there that if you're an artist, if you're a creator, if you want to learn, you can always join us in our Discord, because we are very happy to guide people into the process of creating. It takes an entire lifetime to like you have to dedicate your life to this passion. And I've always liked to point people in the right way. So if you're just a creator, if you want to make stories, if you want to make illustrations, come hang out. The Discord, there's a ton of artists there already. So just to share and have a good time. Yeah, just wanted to put that there. I'll give you the link to the Discord later. Yeah, thank you.
Definitely. Amazing. So yeah, and thank you so much for that message. So before we end, let's just have a quick recap of the whole interview. So this was Hugo, aka Sloppy, known as Sloppy in the Web3 space, founder of Sloppy Studios. So we started off, with him telling a little bit about himself, completing a diploma in animation, landing a job in Nickelodeon, gaining great experience and skills, and getting a job, on Rick and Morty for 5 years, ending up as a supervising animator, specializing in digital art. And then his friends and other OGs introduced him to NFTs due to his background with digital arts. And, it was a match made in heaven. It fit like like a very snug glove. And then he also started doing animations with, BAYCs, which went viral, leading him to becoming, a very well-known and reliable freelance artist for individuals and projects. And then he continued on his to the GameStop marketplace, where he became a top artist, and he was selling animated music videos, which finally led him to, creating his own project, which was Fishbowlers. And, he launched that on Ethereum because of the safety and the reliability. And then he used the money that he got from GameStop to create this project and bootstrap this project. And he built the team and, fully went into Web3. He quit his Rick and Morty job. And then regarding the project, there were some technical issues when they partnered with OS, but of course he persisted, and that's how he's still here and he's still building with us even years later. And then obviously we also talked about how the project was funded and how they're continuing operations with working with different projects like Save Souls and Nouns, and also big brands like Asus. And then we got his fantastic, opinions on the Web3 space and the challenges of, the whole space having a tiny attention span and yet keep everyone engaged. But there's obviously pros and cons to that, and the fact that it's ever changing. That's what makes, NFTs in this space so beautiful, because, that's what keeps things exciting. And then obviously he realized that you have to be able to adapt to the space, and he's been doing that extremely well. And then we talked about some trends. So his favorite trend was the fact that you can connect the product with the consumer very well. There's, a very direct line of communication. You get instant feedback and all that. And then lastly, we talked about his team. So he started as a one-man army, and then he expanded, progressed, and now he has 10 people, all the way from accountants to animators to business people to marketing people. So that's amazing, and I'm really glad to hear that he's made so much progress. And yeah, that should be everything, and that should be a good recap, I think, of Hugo and his journey. So thank you so much, Hugo. This was the interview. And I do really appreciate you joining, and shout out to the captain, founder of Save Souls, for connecting us and getting you on here. Thank you so much, Hugo.
Thank you so much, Ritwik. That was a really fun interview. Really appreciate your time, and that was an amazing recap as well. So yeah, shout out to the cap as well. Thank you, Save Souls, as kind of like our brother community. They supported us so much. They've helped us so much. I have only good things to say about them and their team. So
amazing.
Cheers to that. Yeah, thank you so much, and hope to see you around. And thank you.
Definitely. And to all the listeners, make sure to check out Fishbowlers on their Discord, on their Twitter, their page on Coinect. If you can, get some NFTs, join their community. If an artist, like Hugo mentioned, it's a fantastic place for artists to learn. Thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed. Have a great day.